Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to a brand new video. Today we have to talk about two different things. Firstly, who's going to start in the number 10 position. This whole thing's going to be about the number 10 position, Aaronson or Gnonto, especially after Gnonto had a good cameo against QPR. I'm not going to say he was amazing for the entire performance. I think he had a good 20 minutes. Maybe you can push it to 25 minutes in that game. Let's not pretend that he was amazing the whole game, because that's what I've seen some people on Twitter say, that he was amazing for the entire 45 minutes. He wasn't. He had about 20 minutes where he was really good, and don't get me wrong, he did get us back to 2-2 with a beautiful pass, but people acting like people go and talk about Aaronson's assists. That apparently, since that goal, people have talked about Aaronson's GNA and why Gnonto is better and he would have more GNA. People do realize that Gnonto did not get an assist for that. Like, talking about Aaronson, talk about GNA, especially with Aaronson, I think it's harsh, because he does have 8 goals this season. He's got 2 assists, I understand. But if we're going to talk about this this goal that we scored because Gnonto was in the 10, right? We have to talk about every other time that we've scored where Aaronson's been involved as well. I don't know how many times that's been. I'm not going to look at every single goal and say, okay, he's involved. He's involved there and there. But you can't just go, oh yeah, Aaronson has only 2 assists all season, and then go on about Gnonto's where it wasn't even an assist. Because I think Aaronson does a lot of he's part of the build-up for a lot of our goals, but he doesn't get the final pass for the assist. And there's a couple of moments this season where he's actually played a good ball through, whether that's to someone like Pirro or probably Dan James as well this season. He's played a couple of passes where I can remember, I can't remember who had the chances, but I can remember saying, oh, good ball from Aaronson, there's a chance here, and the players don't finish their chances. That's not on Aaronson. And I feel a bit harsh on Aaronson because, as I said, he's got 10 GNA this season with 8 goals. I think he's had a good season. Like, he's not been bad at all. And when you have 8 games left in the season, do you really want to change everything and bring in a new player in the 10? And this is where I don't get some Leeds fans, because everyone's crying out for Gnonto to start in the 10, but they also want Rothwell to start every single game, which, if you listen to Fark after the game and you listen to what he said, you'll understand if Gnonto starts in the 10, that means Gruev's going to start in behind him in the DM position. So either way, if Aaronson starts, people are going to be mad that Gnonto's not there, and if Gruev starts, people are going to be mad that that Rothwell's not. And if he does start Gnonto, people are going to be mad that Gruev's there and not Rothwell. Because if you listen to what Fark said, he basically said the choice is either Aaronson and Rothwell or Gnonto and Gruev. And people that wanted Rothwell to start every game of the season and now saying start Gnonto in the 10, you do that, you're not going to get a Rothwell in the midfield behind him. But in my opinion, I think Gruev is a really good player, so I'm fine with either. I'm fine with Aaronson and Rothwell, or Gnonto and Gruev. For me, I'm fine with either, but I'm trying to decide who you want to see in the number 10, because if you look at Gnonto's games that he has played in the 10 over here for Leeds United, I've got it up right here. He played one game. He played in the 10 in the Premier League twice, which was against West Ham, where we drew 2-2. That was the Clicks final game, if you guys remember that. That was a 2-2 draw. He also played in the 10 when he actually got a goal in that game as well. He got one of the goals in that game in that 2-2 draw. He also played in the 10 against Brentford, where we drew 0-0. So they're the 2 games he played in the attacking midfield in the 10 for us in the Premier League. He also played twice in the FA Cup in the number 10, which was the game against Cardiff, where it was 2-2 in the 3rd round. And then he also played in the 4th round of the Cup, of course, against Millwall, where we lost 2-0. So you look at that, and he's played 4 games in the number 10, 3 draws and 1 loss. Actually, now 4 draws and 1 loss, because he came off the bench, so you can't really put that on him. But starting-wise, he started in the 10 in 4 different occasions, and in those 4 occasions, there's been 3 draws and a loss. Now, I know you can't put that on everything. It's not all on him. I understand that. But it shows that he hasn't played in the 10 a lot. He is... Well, realistically, he's a striker. We signed him as a striker. If you guys remember that when we signed him, he was supposed to be a striker. And he wasn't even supposed to be brought into the first team until probably... To be honest, he probably wouldn't have been brought into the first team until last season, if we actually, had the players that we needed to make sure he didn't have to be pushed into the team very early. If he wasn't supposed to be in the team as early as he was. He probably, if we had the players and could, we didn't have to push him in, he probably wouldn't have started for Leeds until last season, probably. In my opinion, last season might have been his first season on the bench, to be honest. But things happen, injuries happen, and he had to be pushed into the team. where he did very well, in my opinion, on the wing. Now it's hard for him to get onto the wing when you have Ramazani, sorry, not Ramazani, when you got DJ who's on fire, and you've got Solomon, which is why people want to see him in the 10. And I do understand that. A lot of his game in the 10 against QPR, I've seen people put highlights of it and all that. He was good for 20 minutes, right, Willie Gnonto? He also, most of the time, was on the wing, whether that was the right wing or the left wing. And if you watch that game, whenever someone's trying to cross the ball into the box, we have no options in the box. I don't know where Pirro is most of the time, to be honest, any time in the box. That's what he's bad. That's the one thing I don't like about Pirro, is his positioning when we're getting a ball whipped into the box. He's not there. You've got no one else around there. I don't even know how many players were actually... Firpo's probably the first one forward at times. Firpo's legit probably the first one forward at times into the box. You've got Firpo in the box. You've got Pirro, and then you've got one of the wingers maybe in the box. And then pushing up maybe a Rothwell if he can find some space in behind. He can risk it without, being worried about counterattacks. But if you watch most of Gnonto's highlights, it's him with the ball on the wing, where I think Aaronson does get into the box a lot. And that's the thing about Aaronson. He has that pressing that we need in this team. I don't think Gnonto also does the pressing that Aaronson does. That's one thing I want to say. People always have a go at when people talk about Aaronson's pressing and saying, well, if he's only good at pressing, then he shouldn't be in the team. But for me, we need that kind of pressing in the team when we have Pirro up front, because Pirro doesn't do that pressing, and I don't think Gnonto does either. And my one worry with Gnonto in the 10, this is probably my main worry with Gnonto in the 10. I think a lot of people know this about how I feel about Gnonto. I think he's a better player. But don't get this wrong. I think he's a better player than Aaronson as a footballer. I think he's a way better player, okay? But the one thing I don't like about Gnonto is he holds the ball for too long a lot of the time. He'll lose the ball a lot. That's the one. They're the main things. He holds the ball for too long and then doesn't pass what he should. I don't know how many times you guys have probably had the same thing. You're watching Gnonto and you're like, pass. He doesn't, and he loses the ball. Now, if that happens multiple times with him playing in the 10, people are going to get angry at that. With Aaronson, I know he's weak. Let's be honest. That's one thing about him. He's not as strong as he should be. And with Aaronson, for me at the moment, I'm more with him needing a rest. I really think he should be given a rest. But now that we've had this international break, maybe that's enough rest he's had for him to come back in the starting 11. Because the reason why I think Aaronson's gone off a cliff is basically the same as what happened in the Premier League season. He got beasted. Aaronson has played more minutes than any other player in this Leeds team besides Melier, besides the goalkeeper. Aaronson's played more minutes than any other player, and that comes into play when you look at players' form and why they dip. And with Aaronson, who plays almost every single minute, and he doesn't do like a walking, he doesn't walk a lot, he sprints, he presses so much for this team in the 10 role. He does a lot of things that people don't see, but with how much pressing that he does, he needs a little bit of a break. So I think Farke, it's not on us, of course, but I do think Farke will start Aaronson in the next game against Swansea. And for me, whether he starts Aaronson or whether he starts Gnonto, we should win that game either way. But the reason why I think he'll start Aaronson is as I've already said, better on the press, in my opinion. And I think Farke thinks the same thing. He's better on the press. He'll get into the box, where I don't think Gnonto will, off that 20-minute cameo, off that 45-minute game, didn't really get into the box, more played off the wing and stuff, where I think Aaronson does get into the box. Aaronson also presses back defensively. I know he gave away the goal for QPR, but he does well to get back and win the ball at first, and that's something I don't see Gnonto doing a lot. Now, for me, if I was gonna say Aaronson needs a rest and we didn't have this international break and we we're gonna put someone in the 10, I would prefer Solomon in the 10 and put Gnonto on the left. That's what I would prefer if we were going to give Aaronson a rest. And we had to give Aaronson a rest because we didn't have an international break. But because we have this international break, I fully believe that Aaronson will just come straight back into the team, which I'm fine with. I know a lot of people on Twitter and stuff are going to be raging when that team comes out and you see Aaronson in the 10. But after this break, I feel like he'll have more energy, he'll be back fresh, and hopefully for the run-in, that will be massive for him and for the team. Because we got to remember, we only have 8 games left. And I don't think it's simple as, I'll take Aaronson out and put Gnonto in will be way better. Because with Aaronson in the team, who's played more minutes than anyone, we've lost 4 games all season. With him playing in the 10 and playing more minutes than any other player besides Melier, we've only lost 4 all season. So I don't get how you can put on him having a poor season or being bad when we've legit lost 4 games all season, and he's played more minutes than any other player in this team. So, fully my opinion is Buck will start Aaronson, but if I was to choose, I don't know what I would choose personally. I mean, I said what I would rather do is if you want to give Aaronson a rest. This whole thing is based off if Fark thinks Aaronson should have a rest against Swansea. You put Solomon in the 10, you put Gnonto on the wing. I would prefer that. But I do think after this break, Aaronson's going to be rested. Aaronson's going to come back, and I think he's going to play well. Because, like, people are hammering this performance against QPR, and basically they're forgetting how good he was against Millwall the game before. Because when I did my review for the Millwall game, I said he was the second best player on the pitch. Besides Rothwell, he was the second best player. So he went from that great performance to the QPR one where he was poor and got hooked after 45 minutes. So I do think Aaronson will come back into the team, and I'm hoping for more of a similar performance that he had against Millwall, which I believe that, you know, after this break, after he's fresh, could happen. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think and who you think will play in the number 10, either Gnonto or Aaronson. I'm going to probably put a poll on the channel. If you haven't seen that already, there's a poll on the channel right now. Go vote for that, who you think will play in the 10, or who you want. I'm going to put 2. I'm going to say who you want in the 10, and then who you think Fark will choose in the 10. I want to know your opinions, because my opinion is Fark will choose Aaronson to play in the 10. My opinion is I would play Aaronson unless he needs a break and he's not fully, he's fully ready. But I think after this international break, he's had the rest. So I would probably say Aaronson as well, just personally. I know a lot of people want to see Gnonto, and I want to see more of Gnonto. I want to get that clear. I want to see more minutes from Gnonto off the bench. Or maybe a Solomon or a James, especially James as well. You look at James, he's pretty similar to Aaronson he's been beasted in the recent couple of games, and he looks a bit tired sometimes, and he looks a bit off it for what he's been for most of the season. So I would be fine with, maybe 60 minutes in, even if we're winning 2-0, if we're winning 3-0, right? 60 minutes, 65 minutes, 70, whatever, 60 or 70th minute. Take both wingers off, Ramazani and Gnonto. I'm fine with doing that. I just think Gnonto should be having more minutes, but I don't think that should be in the 10. I think that should be out wide off the bench. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you all next time. Peace.